I am not sure how many more Oakland Athletics videos I have in me. I think it's a good time to talk about the Oakland A's again. It's been a few months. I talked about them earlier in the season, how the A's have sort of rotted away in Oakland for the past number of years. And I'll go back to as far as 20 years ago where, the Moneyball era and the end of the Moneyball era, that was a really good love story between Oakland and the A's, and they were playing really good baseball. John Fisher came in. Things did change when John Fisher did come in, but that doesn't mean that the A's were just terrible ever since then. Like, that's just not been the case, and I know it's not what Oakland fans want to hear necessarily, and maybe even other fans, but listen, I have this platform to speak on, and maybe some people will watch, maybe some people may not watch, but guess what? I'm going to say how I feel, and the fact of the matter is, I'm perfectly fine with the A's leaving Oakland. At the end of the day, the Oakland Athletics are hurting baseball more than they are helping baseball. And if you're a baseball fan, you want to see the game thriving in every aspect possible, and having a situation like Oakland is not healthy for the game of baseball, or for any league for that matter, where you're having a black hole in essence when it comes to a certain team where they're just not generating money, enough fans, all of that good stuff, despite fielding relatively decent teams. And let's not pretend that the A's were terrible the past 20 years. They've fielded division champions, get to the playoffs multiple times over, even then still have not come out to support the Oakland A's. Players have come out and called out the A's fans over the years saying, hey, come out to the ballpark, we're a good team, we're playing good baseball, and they just don't come out and support the team. It's not something that has happened, post 2020 where fans stopped going to the games. Like, no, this has always been a thing. Like I said, for the past 20 years, A's fans have not come out for the past 20 years, I would say. And you could go even further back, but I'll stick with 20 years. You could go further back. The Oakland A's have always been one of the lower ranked teams when it comes down to it. And when you look at the history of Oakland in general, and again, at some point, you do have to look in the mirror, right? You have to look in the mirror at some points and blame yourself. Like, I get it. You're mad, you're sad, you're frustrated. I understand. It's definitely not easy losing a sports franchise, I can imagine. But at some point, you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, you know what? Maybe it's our fault at some point. Because when it happens again and again and again and again and again, at some point, I think you're probably the problem, right? So, this goes back to the 60s and the 70s, where the California Seals became a thing where they were based in Oakland. They changed to the Oakland Seals, and the Oakland Seals in the National Hockey League did not last very long. They were part of the expansion of 1967. They came into the league in Oakland, and they just did not last long because they did not draw any fans at all. And so that franchise disbanded very quickly. The National Hockey League, believe it or not, has left Oakland before, and people don't talk about that anymore, or at all really, when it comes to sports franchises leaving Oakland. The NHL also left Oakland at one point, and they now reside in San Jose with the Sharks. Years later, they got back a team in the Bay Area. Of course, I'm wearing a Raiders shirt. This is not, pun intended. I didn't plan to wear this shirt for this video. Raiders left Oakland not once, but twice. Left in the 80s, left in 2019. I think that kind of goes to show you how Oakland is as a sports city in general. And again, that's not to say that they don't have passionate fans. I'm not necessarily knocking the fan support and the passion of, whatever fan base you want to rank. Every fan base has their passionate fans. But I'm just saying, overall, fan supports to come out to games and support them year in, year out, thick or thin times. Oakland has struggled with that. Has also been the case with the Raiders. And whether or not you want to blame the Oakland politicians for not getting a stadium deal done for either franchise when it comes to the Warriors, the Raiders, or the A's, wherever you want to lay the blame on, all of these franchises have left Oakland. I know we're talking baseball here, and John Fisher's the owner and leaving Oakland and all that. I get it. But at some point, you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, maybe it's a us problem. Maybe it's an Oakland problem. And Oakland as a city as a whole is not the prettiest city in America, right? I don't think it's a top 50 list at all. It's just not. It's not a feasible market at this point. I understand the Bay Area is a huge market. They probably can't support two teams. And I say probably because can they support two teams? And they really support two teams? So they're going to Sacramento. Sacramento is a city that has the NBA, that has relatively decent fan support, I think, with the Kings. And so maybe they support the A's relatively better. Does the A's good in a minor league ballpark? It's going to be very interesting to see how they in fact do with the fan attendance there and all of that. But it's hard to reckon they're going to be any worse than Oakland, because Oakland for the last number of years has been terrible. And I feel bad for the players. No one talks about the players and how they have to go out there night in, night out and play in front of like 2,000 fans a night. Like, it's really bad. I know they're making millions and $100,000, but again, like, you're in the pros, like, you want fan supports. I'm perfectly fine with the A's leaving. I know it's the unpopular opinion, but that's okay. And if you want to have a civil conversation, you can absolutely do that. Again, I'm making this video also because I go on Twitter a lot. Whenever I see a Vegas positive comment and Oakland negative comment, an Oakland fan will come right in and super derogatory to degrade the person that said anything bad about Oakland. Like, they would just say you're the worst person in the world. It's just like, yo, like, relax. Like, that's not how this works. So it's really sad that A's fans have come down to this, but so I just had to make this video. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I know it's controversial, but it's no problem with expressing how I actually feel. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you in the next one.